no matter what the post is, no matter what I reply to, talking about how I'm a fraud, I'm a mason, I'm an actor, and whatever, it was faked. But I don't see a lot of it. But I haven't been very active. Like I haven't done many streams at all. I haven't really posted much on X, like largely because I was just tired of hearing it. It's like the reason I like flat Earth is because I like to discover new things. I like to talk about physics and new evidences and debunking the globe and like discovering what they hid and trying to figure out what's going on. All this other stuff is super gay to me. I don't like talking about drama. I don't like talking about like he said, she said, or like this person is a shield. To me, all that's so gay. It like literally
Agreed.
drove me away, bro. And I'm like, dude, I'm all in. Okay, like I've shown my full name, my real identity. Like it's a wrap for me, And like I've even been trying to look into different places to get a job because, believe it or not, contrary to the Austin sold out and he's a actor and he got paid all this money, all Antarctica did was completely destroy me financially, and I can't even get jobs. And it's not because like I will crush an interview, and they'll just look me up publicly. Like what I'm saying? So my point with that is that like I'm like all in with flat earth. There's no going back for me, like in real life. In real life, I've been debanked from 2 banks. I've been kicked off most payment processors, off Venmo, off PayPal. Like it's over for me. And even I was like, okay, I have to like take a break. You know what I'm saying? Like that's pretty bad. I guess my point here is that anything that the community is doing somewhat collectively that's driving people like me away, like probably not good. Like, what do you think you're doing to the normal person? Like a person that was already kind of cautious or hesitant to discuss this, certainly publicly. Like they're going to be like, dude, I would never, even if I think there's flat, I will never publicly say it. Look what they did to Witsit. Why would I do it?
Have you?
No, I hear you, dude. But isn't this like a big kind of shifting point though? Because I mean, there already is the 24, the Southern Star rotations and all of that factor, and then the fact that there's more footage now and more just because you guys going. You guys definitely added a lot more to getting more footage. But it is an intense point because obviously the AE map was like sold to us, the one sun circling around type of thing. I'm not saying there's more than one sun. I'm just saying the sun circling around Polaris like that. And that was, and I'm starting to see that much more as like a psyop map, basically, that the controller's kind of set up as the little backup, the thing to kind of set up and knock down, involved in all of this. But that's a whole nother discussion. But I mean, I actually think it's really cool that there's 2 24-hour suns and 2 poles like this, because that's the way like an electric field and a toroidal field. It's actually like a much cooler flat Earth, as it were, this way, rather than just the one kind of thing that goes around the center like that. Like there's much more complexity to it. But I'm just saying this is like a pretty big like shifting point in getting to the truth of what this realm is. And so it kind of makes sense in a way that if a lot of people were sold that AE map and then they clung to that, they're coming away from the globe, and worldview is a very strong thing. People, it's like their identity, it's who they are. It's built like to the foundation of their spirituality, their philosophy of life, all of that. And so it just seems like this is like a breaking point to where, and I was going to say this too, like, I don't like to use the word coping, or a lot of people use that to kind of ridicule and harass people. However, like how much of people saying it's fake is a cope, really? Because if they were to have to accept, like I even asked QApp this, I was like, dude, if you accepted there is a 24-hour sun there, and he was like, yeah, he's like, I don't know, man. He's like, I'd be confused. I don't know. I'd be lost, And I was like, yeah, well, welcome to the, the actual scenario of what is, I'm not saying everyone's confused and lost. I'm just saying that, I mean, dude, we've talked about the 2-pole layout. I mean, that works in some ways, but I mean, this is a complex issue. It doesn't mean the Earth's a globe. People want to shovel everyone back into the globe. It doesn't mean there's curvature and motion. But I know I said a lot there, but I'm just saying, like, how much of this is people coping that they don't want to actually accept it and realize that they don't have all the answers, and that the little, the little AE map that was put on the front of the United Nations and the WHO and all that wasn't actually what the realm is, not at least not just the whole picture, and that there's more of an unknown to deal with. So I'm just saying that could be fueling like actually coping with that their worldview, that they don't have all the answers or whatever, with their ego, and then therefore have to cling to it being fake. So yeah, just like weaving that point in, and then also just like the kind of epicness of the moment we're in, with all of this.
So it's like almost 100% because of that. So like, that's why I agree with you that overall it's just a bunch of net positives, right? Because I genuinely feel like, not to like make this about me or whatever, but I stepped away and then was like, should I just stay away? And then I'm like, okay, I like prayed, and I had a lot of like synchronicities and signs and stuff. So like I'm supposed to keep making content, but then I'm just like, I keep having signs that it's like not quite yet or whatever. And so my point with that is that I haven't like really come back, and really never making content have I tried to like consistently upload everywhere and put out shorts and get on a bunch of places and like actually get big or anything. And so when I come back, I'm going to do that, which I've been kind of saying I'm going to do that or planning on doing that for so long and never done it. But I am going to do that. And so at that point, I mean, once this happens, which is what they kind of conceived as like this death blow to flat Earth, which it wasn't, it's going to be like the resurgence of this so much stronger flat Earth that, yeah, they're going to have like a major problem. So that's one part of it. And then two, like the major positive is what you brought up, which is just sorted a bunch of people out. It's like, bro, I don't care if you think the Earth. I don't like. You're not automatically cool because you found out that the globe is fake. Like that is not how I interpret things at all. I know people that think the Earth's a globe, haven't thoroughly looked into it, that are way cooler than people that know it's flat. You know, like it's not. You don't get an automatic pass because you think it's flat. So for me, I'm like always super pro like people kind of being exposed or whatever in that sense. And that's really what this did. This showed that a lot of people were kind of intellectually lazy, that there is still a lot of conformity within flat Earth, which is kind of antithetical to the base premise of flat Earth, right? And it also showed that a lot of people in flat Earth are dishonest. And I think this is really good for us because it should make everyone step back and be like, okay, we should reconsider everything that we're claiming as evidence. What did we just like? What were we lazy about and just believed because someone else said? What have I shared and propagated and repeated but never fact checked myself? Like, okay, what all did I get from this person? Because now I see kind of the pattern of how they come to conclusions, how not thorough they are, whatever. So maybe I need to go fact check all these things that I took for granted because it came from this person or whatever. And now you kind of know who you can and cannot trust. Is how I view it, right? And like I know for whatever many different reasons, a lot of people have come out of this saying that they can't trust me. Like, okay, that's fine with me too, because I'm like, dude, I think you have to like lack discernment to think that like I've done something deceptive here because it's just so the opposite of what happened. So with all that, which was a lot, it's like those are all positives for me. You know what I mean? And like that conversation I was having with QOP is the same one I would have with, I don't have to say people's names specifically, right? It's just every time I have one of these conversations with people, they have their points and I specifically refute their point, and then they just move on to another point. And then if I come back in here in a week and hear them talking about it, they will say the same points I debunk. So that's exactly what I deal with the globe earthers. It doesn't really matter which side's doing it. That's dishonest. You know what I'm saying? So
it basically like forced us to re-examine our justifications of beliefs of like, why do we think that's true, right? Like certain claims. The AE map though wasn't it discussed multiple times, including in here, about it being just a projection, like an azimuth equidistant projection?
yeah, but you have to realize a bunch of people like totally identified with that map, and I for one already knew that, right? That was pretty obvious. You see the logos everywhere, and like that is kind of just it's a baseline to show people certain concepts, and so it doesn't really surprise me. But I will say, has anyone? I guess what I meant to say a second ago with the whole like dishonest thing, right? It's like one of the biggest ones is all of these people claiming that the trip was fake, right? You're asking how much of it do you think is really kind of like a coping mechanism because they identify with that AE map, and like you ask QOP and he's like, yeah, I'm totally confused, whatever. I think it's almost 100%. Because even for me, while I'm there in person looking at the sun, I'm like stepping back and thinking about everything, I'm like, okay, how do I make sense of this? Like, how would this make sense on something like an AE map, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it does make you step back and recalibrate. Anyone that's saying that it didn't do that is just lying. And so what I keep hearing from these people is they'll say, that it was faked and it's just because we're looking at the evidence. It doesn't even matter what the sun does. The earth is still flat. And that's a lie. Because like if they truly, no, that's accurate, but when they say it's a lie, if that was actually true, then you wouldn't see people being so dishonest to try and prove it was fake. Does that make sense? Like if you really believed it is inconsequential in terms of the conclusion of whether or not the earth is flat, then you wouldn't be having to do mental gymnastics to make up all of this stuff and omit so many things and twist and add narrative. You wouldn't have to do all that to claim the trip was faked unless it is devastating to your worldview. That is really the only way it makes sense.
Outside of the meta, like how have you made sense of that in the 6 months you've been away?
I was going to ask that too, actually. Yeah, what you been chewing on?
Have you moved any closer to the globe in the 6 months you've been away?
Oh, that's not what I was asking.
No.
Yo, what up? I'm back.
Or a two-point.
I'm definitely much more open to that. So I've seen a few renditions of like 2 poles. I mean, Gio and I and many people in here have discussed that for years. Actually, we've had nights where for like 7 hours straight, we've looked at magnetohydrodynamics. We've looked at the way that electric fields work. We went through Oliver Heaviside and Steinmetz and theory of hypothesis and looking at the way that the magnetic field works and the conjugate geometry of a magnetic field and an electric field and saying like, okay, well, southern star rotations, we do see this phenomena where you would have a plane and you would have 2 rotations within a magnetic field, within an electric field, right? And we actually know that everything is about magnetism or everything is electric, right? So I'm pretty open to that. I've seen a pretty compelling one that I can drop in here that gives a lot of explanations for a lot of things. But I will say I haven't, it's like my life has been so hectic that I've actually I definitely haven't like been at the drawing board for 6 months trying to explain the sun. Like I haven't been doing that at all. I've been trying to find a way to pay my bills and etc. Like it just hasn't been a thing. So I'm open to like a kind of a two pole idea. And I'll say this last thing, 'cause I know I'm rambling on right now, but like I have genuinely always believed that we will never have a complete holistic representation of the Earth. That is not how I interpret it at all. I think that
That's
the
what
realm is
Job says.
way too big. It's way too big. It's like to think that we can do that. The only reason we even have that as a goal is because we were given some alleged answer. It's actually a pretty preposterous notion to think that we should be able to know exactly how the whole sky and ground works in relation to each other and exactly what the entirety of the realm is. I mean, that's a pretty wild thing that would have been considered absurd for most of human history.
Okay,
And
so
that's just how I view it. So.
just one last question. If it is a dual pole, do you think that entails Pac-Man? And if it is Pac-Man, is that a deal breaker for you, or would you be okay with Pac-Man?
No, I don't resonate with Pac-Man at all, and I don't think it would require it per se. But it's going to really get into like exactly like what is the sun, right? Like
Doesn't oh sorry.
where we see it, like what is it, and how does that relate to what we see as the sun? Based
Right,
on
but
what
like
you
what map, like what rough, just back of the napkin map could we possibly draw that is a dual pole that doesn't require Pac-Maning, like just conceptually?
Well, you're talking about like actualizing the position of the sun, right? Like that's kind of what my answer was. Like what I was explaining right there is to bring up the Pac-Man requires actualizing the sun, meaning where I see the sun, that's like a real physical object with a real physical actual location. And I just don't necessarily think that's the case. I think there's actually a good amount of evidence that that is not the case. And I thought this long before I went to Antarctica.
Well, one
But
thing I
outside
have a
of
problem with the dual pole model in my mind and my conception is that compasses don't flip when you get to the equator, right? Like now it just begs the question of like, is the South Pole a different type of magnetic flux? Like how come we're only, you know what I mean? How come
It's
there's
the
no
negative
magnetic? Yeah, but how come there is no attraction
The negative side of line.
to the dual? Like if it's a dual pole, right? If it's 2 separate magnetic poles, right? In magnetohydrodynamics, for example, like you would expect some type of attraction to it, like with the compass. That's the one thing I can't wrap my mind around, and maybe even ask like, what is the lodestone? Like, is it just because of a specific material that's being magnetized towards that certain pole, right? Or does it apply equally to all poles? I don't know, but that's what I can't wrap my mind around.
No, I hear you. That idea. If it's like, if it's always attracting to the north, even when you're in the south, yeah.
Even when you're in the south.
Versus if it was 2 even poles. Although that is like the way the magnetic field is aligned on the globe Earth model, it doesn't flip at the equator. They would claim it flips at the poles, but not at the equator. The way so you know how you can line up a magnetic field in different alignments. So
yeah, they say it goes along the longitudinal paths, right?
yeah. So like on
Kind
their
of,
model,
a little
it
bit
doesn't
different.
flip at the poles on the globe model. Or sorry, it doesn't flip at the equator is what I meant.
Oh, you know what it is? It's that a compass needle is a magnet. So
to it, like with the compass. That's the one thing I can't wrap my mind around, and maybe even ask like, what is the lodestone? Like, is it just because of a specific material that's being magnetized towards that certain pole, right? Or does it apply equally to all poles? I don't know, but that's what I can't wrap my mind around.
No, I hear you. That idea. If it's like, if it's always attracting to the north, even when you're in the south, yeah.
Even when you're in the south.
Versus if it was 2 even poles. Although that is like the way the magnetic field is aligned on the globe Earth model, it doesn't flip at the equator. They would claim it flips at the poles, but not at the equator. The way you know how you can line up a magnetic field in different alignments. So
Yeah, they say it goes along the longitudinal paths, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
So like on
kind
their
of,
model,
a little
it
bit
doesn't
different.
flip at the poles on the globe model. Or sorry, it doesn't
I don't
flip
know.
at the equator is what I meant.
Oh, you know what it is? It's that a compass needle is a magnet. So the positive side of the compass points to the negative side of the magnet that you're looking at.
And you just
So
color
it's not
one
it's
of
not
those.
like a
Yeah, you color
it's
one of
not
those
it's not a
red.
piece of it's not a piece of metal. It's not a piece of ferrous metal. It's actually a magnetized piece of metal, and that's why it aligns in the same direction each time
Yeah, so you're
because
saying
the
that would
positive side is attracted to the negative side of the magnet. Yeah.
right. So they would just always, if you have a two pole where you have positive and negative, you're just saying it would always align to that.
It will always point to the south. You can get a permanent, the U magnet or a bar magnet. You can get a permanent magnet in your hand and grab a compass in your hand and test it. The needle on the compass will only point to the I think the positive side because I believe the way that the whatever works is actually I think it's the negative side that's supposedly at the north and the positive side is supposedly at the south. But yeah, the needle will always only point to one side of a permanent magnet in your hand. And if the
Mhm.
Earth has a permanent magnet in it, then it would only ever point one direction. That doesn't not make sense. And that was for Beasticles specifically.
Thanks.
But,
Yeah, I'm
but
just thinking about it.
but outside of magnetic field and the sun above sun above the land, what possible orientation of the land on the ground could we have that's dual pole and wouldn't require pac-manning? Like, what possible orientation would there be?
Well, you could have
Yeah,
a
but
shoreline around it that you would run into. That's one option.
Yeah, but like, can you like show an example of that? Just like a rough one? Because everyone I've ever seen, like, you would have to either like travel like 20 to 50 times the distance than you think you're traveling, or you would have to Pac-Man across it.
Are you saying east to west or north to south?
Either. Like the most common example is like Geo could probably post it, the kind of the map you post sometimes it says dual pole with a pole on the top and the bottom, right? If you've sail left off the side of the map, you're just going to be teleported to the right side of the map.
Like this one. Yeah, there's a bunch of these. If you look at the list of map projections on Wikipedia, there's at least like 7 or 8 that have a layout similar to this. This is like an equal area, equidistant from the equator. It basically makes the Pacific Ocean a ring around the outside. But I'm just saying, like that guy Kazra who did a whole presentation on here on this, he was suggesting that there's a shore of ice around that whole thing, but that would then mean that you would run into ice. Like if you went on the equator directly west, you would hit some kind of shore, which wouldn't be Antarctica because Antarctica is a continent. So that's one idea he has said. But the sun going straight at the equator would still have to do something. I mean, Arwen talks about like an infinite hyperloop idea kind of thing, which is just interesting the way like toroidal fields work. But that still is like Pac-Man-esque, in a way. But because how would like something?
That's
How would that
basically a
technically
Pac-Man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I don't see how like anyone, including Witsit, could say that a dual pole doesn't ultimately entail a Pac-Man effect. Like I think any dual pole that I've ever seen basically requires a Pac-Man effect, or sometimes when you travel 20 to 50 to 100 times further than you think you travel.
Yeah, like I said, so okay, so that is actualizing the sun, bro. Right. So it's like I don't necessarily think that that's the case. So for me, it is still on the table, like the north and the center. We go south out away from that in every direction, and we go out towards where we eventually hit a lot of ice, and that can have many variations. There can be what people call Antarctica out there and ice. Who knows? But and then once you get towards the perimeter, right, that there's some type of dome optics that take place and gives us this phenomena. Now, at that point, you would say, well, that's pretty convenient. What a coincidence, right? That you get this symmetry, this optical symmetry that's basically a deceptive illusion, just because you get towards the perimeter or towards like the ends, if you will, ostensibly, and you get like some type of dome optic effect that causes that. But what I know personally is that I just went to one place and I saw the sun. And if I'm going to like logically, if I'm going to grant like, okay, well, let's say that's the case for the other places that are supposed to see it around there, right? Which I can't actually say, right? I only went to one place, one of the very few like approved places you can go. Um, what I'm trying to say is like that's on the table for me. Is that it's like an optical effect that causes that illusion in the south. I don't really see why that. I don't see how that could be like excluded entirely, because just seeing like the proof of concept with a singular light source moving over top of like an AE projection, and then having that sun kind of move continually in the opposite direction or all along the perimeter is a proof of concept.
Yeah, but that's not a dual pole. That's
No,
still
no,
like,
it's not. No, it's not. That's my point. Is like when I was asked the question, I said I'm more open to a dual pole now. And then when you asked me about like, well, with a dual pole, do you think that like it would be like a Pac-Man? I'm saying, well, I don't personally resonate with the idea of like a Pac-Man sun unless someone could show me some type of replication or demonstration within like magnetic phenomena that would occur. Because Cami Nodell has shown me some of the craziest stuff ever using magnetic fields, dude, in optics. It's like in domes. It's like I don't know. Like I'm open to that, something like that. But I'm saying that requires the assumption that there is a physical sun moving over top of the earth and we're seeing it in its actual location. To then say we need it to Pac-Man, that's like the prerequisite. And what I'm
no,
saying is it's actually kind of an assumption, right?
no, I think you can grant like a spiritual sun or magic sky, as I put it, and like that be completely irrelevant to the dual pole model, like the map of the ground. I just think if it is a dual pole model, it has to be Pac-Maning. Like you have to
What
literally
has to be
go out.
Pac-Manning?
You have to Pac-Man when you travel off one side of the map. You have to be
Oh.
teleported to the other side of the map.
Um,
Well,
Which
if you
map,
can-
real quick
which
about
map do you
that
have to Pac-Man on? I'm confused.
well, hold on, real quick. I just got a question. Witsit, did you notice any temperature fluctuations between the positions of the sun? Like, for example, when it's in the south versus
oh,
the north, or you know what I mean? Like when it was supposed to be
yeah.
technically setting.
It was based on. It was definitely based on its angle. And yes, it was like there were noticeable temperature fluctuations. Hey, random though, like I think I might have like slightly fractured my foot and it hurts like super bad. Does anyone in here know? Like I like was sitting Indian style and then my
Your
whole
foot?
leg, my foot. All right, I'm gonna find
Back
this
to-
post.
Find that post because I'm curious about that shock therapy, bro. I want to know what the fuck that is. Back to
Sometimes when
conceptual
you-
models and what the world is. Have
Yeah, I
you
did have
talked
a
to Joe
comment.
Hanvey lately? Witsit? I haven't seen him around lately.
Lately, no.
He's been posting
I
on Facebook. You can
Dang, I
follow
feel
him
bad though. He
on
sent me
Facebook there.
lots of stuff. He sent me lots of stuff to replicate it actually, and I haven't done it. So dang, I probably should.
Well, let me ask you what you think of this because I've been going on some well, I guess rants in a way. I'll go on like, my little 2-minute things when I've been talking on here over the last few months talking about this. And I haven't really heard any really rebuttal for it. So I just was curious what you think. So if in terms of like an AE type of layout where you have the north and then everything coming out from the center, when it comes to the sky, if you have like the southern stars and then the two 24-hour suns 6 months apart, the thing that I have been stating that seems impossible is simply this. If you have like, let's say the AE map, and then you have, let's say, the southern stars, let's say you're in South America and you see the southern stars and then 24-hour sun, all that stuff. If you were to like freeze frame the sky, just freeze it, and then put a little flag on the ground
You fucking suck, bro.
under the GP.
That guy fucking sucks.
He's hot micing. So if you were to then freeze frame the sky, so the two swirling rotations, the straight stars at the equator, wherever the sun would be in its cycle, that's fine. And then you were to put little flags in the ground under every GP of every star. So you would be like 1, 2, 3. You would end up with like 2 swirls on the ground of stars, layouts of flags, and then the straight ones at the equator. And if that southern pole rotation moved with you as you go around the outer rim, you would get multiple GPs. Like if you were to move 100 miles along that rim, you'd have a whole nother set of GPs, a whole nother set of flags. Another 100 miles, a whole nother set of flags. And with the sun, you'd have multiple GPs of the sun. Like if you had, 3 dudes on the outer rim and they're getting the 24-hour sun, that means you'd have multiple GPs of those celestial bodies. You'd have more than one GP of the sun at any one time, more than one GP of any one star. So for that to be viable, for the southern star rotation and or the 24-hour sun to rotate with the observer around the outside of the rim of an AE map would require that there would have to be more than one GP of any celestial body at any one time. And unless somebody could show that, it seems unviable. Like unless somebody could show that there are actually more than one GP, like, hey, I'm over here, I got my southern rotation, here's my GP of, Regulus or whatever star. Another dude, hey, I'm over here, man, I'm on my cell phone, I'm under Regulus too, I got my own rotation. You know what I mean? Like that would have to be the case. And without that, it seems impossible. And I haven't really heard anyone be able to refute that, which then pulls it back to, 2 fixed poles and then 2 fixed poles on the ground and a 2-pole type flat earth layout. So what do you think of that?
No, yeah, that makes sense. I don't have a rebuttal. Yeah, for sure. Like if there's like an individual like projection of the southern star rotation all along the outside, like individual to the observer, then yeah, that's like the necessary consequence, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's too much of an issue with the sun per se, right? I mean, like I don't know that we have tons of like super reliable ground position measurements of the sun all along the outside, and then comparing it as you head further north and seeing if there's a transitional period or whatever. Like the idea that there's kind of like an entirely separate apparent position of the sun out there. I guess I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't really work. I find the two pole idea very compelling on just a very base, like intuitive level because of like magnetohydrodynamics and stuff. And you and I have discussed this actually like in depth a long time ago, to the point where, dude, I was like scouring the internet. We were looking at like every visualization, every demonstration we could possibly find, like right long before Antarctica, which is why it's so frustrating that so many flat earthers took this the way they did, because a lot of us were just like already way outside the AE box. But
Yep,
I don't
that's
know.
true.
And I know New Perspective was saying that I know there was a guy that has been saying this for a long time, and
Enon or something like that.
yeah,
Enon.
yeah,
E1.
yeah,
E1,
and
yeah.
he was supposedly about to come back and reveal a bunch of like his kind of model.
About AWAR or whatever.
No, another guy. He
With
goes
the
No, another guy.
not AWAR. Okay.
Like last time I was on here, I guess it was around the summit. New Perspective jumped on and was saying he had recently heard from him again, and he said that he had something he was going to show everyone, and that everyone was just going to get it, and that they weren't even going to like. Once they saw it, they were just going. It was going to make sense. And I do appreciate that guy, because he goes he goes head first into whatever the
Subject
issues
is.
are. Well, yeah, whatever issues there are with the dual pole, like he like dives into it, and he's like does kind of the legwork of the rearranging of different ground positions, stuff like that. Is New Perspective on here? Maybe, I guess he would have probably said something.
No, he's not in here.
Yeah.
He's the guy who did the quad pole, and he's been reverse engineering the projection of the continents from the moon. He's been reverse engineering the moon. So like his map is based on a moon map.
Are you talking about E1, the same guy? Not R1on, not that R1on, Air1on guy, but E1, different guy? You're talking about him?
I forget the name. It might be that. I don't know.
Yo, Austin. JT said he
Well-
sent you a thing to help with your angle.
Oh,
But yeah, dude,
Yo,
doesn't
well-
the dual pole? I mean, there's so many ways that the dual pole make. Like we have two eyes, two arms, two halves of the brain. Like the way like an apple, like the toroidal field, you have the two halves. You cut an apple down the middle. There's this guy named Kazra. I don't know if you were familiar with him, dude. He's pretty interesting. He's like he has like a group, like the Persian Flat Earth group, and I think he said he's got like a lot of. I think it might be on Facebook. I think he might have said like 70,000 subscribers or something. And he said that he's been into the dual pole since 2017. He said he gave up. That group gave up the AE map even back then. And he did a presentation on here. And he was going through because dude, there's just so many relations to the way magnetic fields and electric fields, and you just have like the positive, negative in life. There's so many aspects: male, female, light, dark, sun, moon. It's just endless. This duality in nature and all of those factors of it. So, and just the way toroidal fields function. So yeah, there's so many ways in which that correlates, to it would make sense that in the fact that we see these two massive rotations of these poles in the sky with the straight line at the equator, which is basically the exact field lines of an electric field, and the ferrocells. And so, yeah, there's so many layers to that fit, like you were alluding to as well. So,
I was in here when that guy popped in, the Persian guy. I was actually in Punta Arenas when he jumped in, and I was talking to him on speaker. Jaron was in the room, and in the hotel room. And because I remember he was saying he had lots of beef with the fact that we went. And he's like, "You're setting flat Earth back for years, Witsit, and all this stuff." And I'm like, "Wait, what are you suggesting? You're saying that you think the AE map is wrong, and that the mainly accepted version of flat Earth depictions that everyone uses is wrong, but you're angry that we're going to show that it's maybe wrong. You would rather the numbers of flat earthers be way bigger, even if they're completely wrong, than for us to recalibrate and get the information right." I was really confused by that, but other than that, he did seem to have pretty well thought out ideas. And then on his Instagram, they have quite a few posts explaining various phenomena. I don't know if you looked at his Instagram, but it's got quite a bit of stuff on there.
yeah, no, and I do remember that time when he was talking to you with that, and if I'm remembering the same time. And I that was like the vibe he had is maybe I didn't resonate with that style of it, but I think he just thought that it was going to be like a pie in the face thing, and he thought it was going to like kind of slow down the movement or whatever because a lot of people were going to freak out or something. But I know what you're saying too. It's like, but at the same time, if you're showing something that will help pop the bubble of a misconception, then that's good ultimately. But yeah, I do remember he was a bit aggressive in that moment, in that way, in that part of it, or his viewpoint on that, just feeling like it was a setup that the globe earthers, because he was saying like, we know there's 24-hour sun there. We've known that for years. Of course there is. And he talks a lot about the symmetry of the north and the south. And it is interesting the globe earth has that symmetry of the northern hemisphere and the southern, and then the way the sky works with that, the celestial sphere, and then the stars and the sun. So that is interesting, like more the idea that it would be like two AE maps. You'd have an AE map from the north and another AE map from the south, two of them, and then they would intersect and so on. But yeah, he has so yeah, but I think he just felt like it was going to be like a setup or whatever, where they were then going to try to slow everything down more so in some way. But I mean, I guess that's kind of like the double-edged sword of this whole thing, because you guys got the trip there. I mean, I definitely think it was good that you guys went. So I don't think it was like a mistake to go. But I guess there's ideas. I guess maybe some people thought we could have waited and got more information later or something. But yeah, I do remember that his like strong views on that part of it.
I guess the question is, do you think Union Glacier is roughly 700 kilometers inland from the coastline of Antarctica? Or do they
as far as I
take it
can
to another
tell,
location? Yeah.
as far as I can tell, like, I mean, there's no way for me to really know, right? But yeah, we were in Punta Arenas. We flew over the ocean for a couple hours, I guess. It's been so long, I don't remember exactly what the distribution was at that one. Anyway, then you hit landmass, and we flew over ice for a while, for sure. And it's massive. But of course, anyone that's flown before, right? Like just flying over the States or wherever, it's like the Earth is just massive. Like flying is actually a crazy thing. So there's no way for me to really know. It did seem relatively accurate with all the like tools that I had. Like obviously I'm looking at the back of a seat with a screen that has a globe on it. So we're tracking our route on a globe. There's really no way for me to, but it did seem relatively accurate. I know for sure we didn't go like crazy far into Antarctica or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely tell we were just dipping off, and that's what was so surreal about it, is that we traveled so long over that ice, and because the first portion of it, like it's like a pretty good stretch. There's water mixed in with the ice, so it's like you couldn't walk over there at all. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a bunch of ice, but there's a bunch of water, and it's like that for a while, and then it just gets like solid ice and mountains, and dude, it's like it goes on forever, man. Like it's really crazy. And I actually would say, I'm so glad I got to see it, and it actually probably is worth, if anyone can find a way to go just in the plane and to get to see it and it not be too expensive. Like it's definitely worth considering. Like it was that pretty, bro. Like it was really really cool. So yeah, not really what you're asking specifically. I chalked all that up as to where we are, where it really is within whatever the Iceland really was, right? Like I have no idea.
Did you hear about the Asian guy who landed in Antarctica and then got arrested by Chilean military?
He's doing it for cancer awareness or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool story, actually. Like, assuming that's true, it's a pretty cool story. He has like this little mini older plane that he does the maintenance on himself, and he flies like all over the world.
He said he wanted to go on all 7 continents, so they basically had to do like an emergency landing in Antarctica. And because he had said in the past that he wanted to go to all 7 continents, they used that to say that he didn't have to do an emergency landing and that he intended to land in Antarctica without permission. So they arrested him and did a bunch of stuff. Like he said,
that dude totally landed there on purpose, man. Have you seen the video?
Yeah, I think he did, but
yeah, bro, you trust me, man. You don't just fly a plane over Antarctica and just decide to randomly land. Trust me, bro. I don't know where that dude landed, but it was.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So when you were there, I heard some people saying, I think it was even you or who else, saying that there were certain areas that were like these flags that were located saying don't go beyond this area because there's these what do they call them, a crevasse,
or
something, like a weak part of ice that just goes down into a tunnel or something. And
yeah, there are some videos and stuff of people falling in them and stuff. They're pretty crazy.
Wow, I haven't seen those. I'm just wondering if when they told you that, did they tell you how they found them?
Well, so basically, the story is that it's known that they're kind of everywhere, and that to avoid them, they take a like pretty light sled and they survey to make sure that it doesn't like fully fall in. I don't know, and then they map that off with flags. And it's less so that the flags show there's a crevasse over here. It's more so that it's like, okay, within the flags are surveyed and safe, and that there could be crevasses anywhere else. Some of them are like visible, so you can see like, oh, it's like that breaks off down to the ground. I guess there are some stories and claims of people falling into them. I have no trouble believing that at all. Like, the entire vibe of that place is that you're not supposed to be there and that you're gonna die. Like, it's like not human friendly. Um, but yeah, so the way I did not like, my interpretation of the whole thing was like, dude, there's nothing to see anywhere close to here, right? Like, any of the super epic stuff that's in Antarctica was nowhere close to us. So like, those flags were just to make, they really were just mapping out the surveyed safe place. Like, if there was something that was like needed to really be hidden, we wouldn't be there. Like, that's my view, because that place is so big. They could very easily pick out thousands of places for a little camp, right? That no one would be able to discover anything.
Okay, that's good. And my other
Yeah.
question, last question, until I go on mute, is: do you know if do they break down I know, like the little tents and stuff you were staying in, and then all of the other buildings? Is it just completely disassembled, like everything there, or do they leave certain things
Yeah.
up?
They leave certain things up. They showed us. I actually asked that question. There's like a couple of the like kind of metal building things that they leave there, and then when they get back, they have to just like shovel all the snow off of it.